back at WNST down to the banks of the Cumberland River, where I have been heading for the better part of 25 years now, since my Allers wound up in Nashville, and we wound up with the Browns, and here we go again with the Tennessee Titans. This guy has been at all of them, literally from the very beginning. He's covered the Titans first at the Tennessean. I've known him for 2 decades, and all those Eddie George and Steve McNair and Ray Lewis battles and Brian Billick and Jeff Fisher and my boy Jimmy Schwartz. Jim Wyatt is here. He is Jay Wyatt Sports out on Twitter. And, every time these teams get together, it's something good usually, right? It's my 50th birthday this week. The Columbia Blue is out. You got a good football team down there, and the Ravens are licking their wounds after coming off a game that was really kind of a downer around here and losing to the Browns. But good football, and hopefully we get some good weather on Sunday, Jimmy.
Yeah, Nestor, hope so. The Titans had a similar game against Buffalo on Sunday. They were riding high after a 3-1 start and just beating the defending Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, and then go to Buffalo and couldn't score a touchdown either. And now both these teams sitting at 3-2, need to find a way to win. Titans got a game at London coming up after this game on Sunday. So, schedule's kind of taking a turn where this has become a really important game, and it is always fun when the Titans face the Ravens.
Hey, how are they doing the London trip? Do they go right away and practice over there, or are they going late? What are they doing?
They're going late, and I know I've talked to some people, and I know teams have handled it differently. The Titans are going to practice here in town on Wednesday. On Thursday, probably do something light, and then the plane is supposed to leave Nashville around 4:30 Nashville time on Thursday. Fly overnight, get to London, which will be 6:30 in the morning on that Friday, and have a walkthrough, have a practice on Friday, then a walkthrough Saturday, game Sunday, fly back after the game Sunday. I know some teams have spent the whole week there, but Titans are going to get some work done here before leaving.
We did it last year. Have you done it yet, the trip?
It'd be the first time. I'll be curious to hear about your experience.
Oh, my man. Well, first off, that was the weekend of the knee, and we were getting our ass kicked 41-0 by the Jaguars, and, all hell broke loose back here with the fan base, and people didn't go to the games after that, 30,000 empty seats every week. So, yeah, it was a momentous, crazy weekend, but I'll say this, you're going to be blown away by how many people come up with funny accents that are wearing Titans jerseys, because it's like real over there. It's not fake, it's real. You guys are playing the Chargers, so it'll be a little different because there's more Jaguar fans there than there are anything, although they are not in any way. I saw every color of the rainbow. Before I got off the subway, I made it a point when I got on the subway to take pictures with fans in every jersey and made sure that they weren't American, because they weren't. None of them were. But from Dutch, Copenhagen, Sweden, Germany, wherever, Spain. I saw Italy. I saw fans from everywhere, and I think you're going to absolutely be blown away, and I don't think there's any way you're going to leave there without thinking that one day the Chargers might not wind up calling that place home, or the Jaguars, because there's too much money to be made there, Jimmy.
Yeah, and I will say this, judging from my Twitter account, judging from the mailbag I do each week, I get a lot of questions from there from people who are Titans fans, and I've seen those games. I've watched them on television. I've seen the stands, and as you mentioned, you've got fans there from all over the NFL, and people are excited. I get questions regularly in the mailbag about, hey, where can I see the players? Where's there a gathering of Titans fans going to be? Where's the team hanging out in London? They've been coming since this game was announced, so I'm anxious to see it myself. I know I'm going to be working on not a lot of sleep that week because, again, it's an overnight flight. And
come on, man, suck it up. The Dodgers will still be playing. The Dodgers are what has you distracted right now. Tell everybody about your background, because you're like a real journalist who came, you've done all this, you're on the team side of things and cover things, but you're like a Dodger blue guy. This is a big week for you, right?
Well, that's another reason why I'm not going to get you sleep, because Game 6 and Game 7 start at 7:30 Nashville time over there on that Friday and Saturday night, and which will be 1:30 in the morning over there. So I'm already bracing myself for not sleeping, because I'm going to stay up and watch those games, obviously. And I have grown up a Dodger fan. People that know me know it's been in my blood since I was 7, 8 years old. I went and saw the Dodgers play in Atlanta. back in the early 70s. My dad was a Dodger fan. I didn't grow up in L.A., but I grew up in Nashville because my grandfather was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. My dad was a Dodger fan. Been to so many games in Chavez Ravine over the years, and I've got the baseball package, and I've had DirecTV since the mid-'90s. I guess back in the early days of DirecTV, so because I could get the baseball package. So yeah, I'm a diehard Dodger fan, and certainly had a lot of chirping going on around here because everybody, a good portion of the baseball fans in Nashville are Braves fans because it's 3.5 hours down the road. So I had to hear all that junk for about a week. But Dodgers ended their season, and now hopefully can do the same to the Brewers. But Brewers are tough, and then the American League with the Red Sox and the Astros obviously going to be a tough challenge as well.
It's been good baseball this week. I was in Cleveland last weekend, and I wound up not leaving my hotel room in suburban Cleveland because I got caught up in baseball. I wanted to go to a sports bar and watch the Indians play, and I just felt late. And I went a couple places, and there was no vibe going on. I came back to my room. I never left my room. I ended up watching baseball on a football weekend. We haven't had Major League Baseball here in about a year and a half. So in Baltimore, so I haven't watched a lot the last couple months. So watching this quality of baseball is unbelievable. You said something about being in Atlanta in the early 70s. You weren't at the Al Downing Aaron game, were you? Because that was an Atlanta-based game with the Dodgers in 74.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I was not at that game. I was at a game when Tommy John got hurt down there, and that kind of led to the now famous Tommy John surgery. I was at that game in Atlanta when he first had that injury leading up to that surgery. I was not at the Hank Aaron game, but certainly remember watching it.
Jim Wyatt is our guest. He is J. Wyatt Sports out on Twitter, and a well-rounded sports individual, not just a Titans insider at Titans Online. So, all right, so let's talk about the Titans, man. Let's talk about your football team. I expected them to be better than maybe they were last weekend, the skipping and the starting, and I think part of it starts with Mariota, right, and for all of these franchises. And I've talked about this week, and I'm going to talk about it with everyone, especially folks like you that have covered the league so long. There's a sort of leveling off thing where there are 20 or 25 franchises right now that believe they have a quarterback they can win a championship with. And in most of these places, other than like San Francisco, the quarterback is upright right now and, playing football in week 6, week 7, and relatively healthy. It's good for the league, even when the Colts stink but have a capable quarterback, and you know that, or when the Raiders stink but they have a capable quarterback, and you know that, or Detroit, because on any given week, all of these teams really do sort of bend toward 8-8 to some degree because of the way the thing is structured and how the quarterback plays and what you do around the quarterback, because the bright light's on Mariota, right?
Yeah, it has been since he was picked number 2 in that draft in 2015, and he certainly has had his share of good moments, and he's had some share of moments where people question whether he can be the guy moving forward. I still believe he can be. He's had to deal with so many changes since he's been here. That's a head coach going from Ken Wisenhunt to Mike Mularkey, now to Mike Vrabel. He's had to deal with the changes at coordinator, had to deal with changes at quarterbacks coach, and had to deal with a lot of changes in personnel around him. And you throw in the fact that he suffered a season-ending, fractured fibula at the end of the 2016 season. That really cost him the whole off season leading up to last year and kind of led to him having a down year. I think if he can ever get some stability around him and get comfortable in a system without it changing, I think he's going to flourish. And right now he's dealing, he has a really talented guy in Corey Davis. I think he's got some other talented receivers in Tajay Sharp and Taywan Taylor, but all those guys are just in year 2 of their careers. He lost Delaney Walker for the season in week 1, and the guy who really took his place was a second-year guy named Jonnu Smith. Rashard Matthews, who was the team's top receiver, a couple of years coming into this year, he pretty much quit the team a couple of weeks ago because he wasn't getting enough opportunity. So Marcus is having to deal with getting on the same page with a lot of guys around him, trying to get comfortable in a new offense. It's still going to take some time. But I love his makeup. He's a hard-working young man. It means so much to him. He's had to fight through a freakish injury this year. He got his elbow hit that's kind of affected his feeling in his hand. He's worked through that. He's going to put the work in, and you hope these young guys will continue to develop, and then he just needs to get more comfortable again with what he's being asked to do.
Well, Jim Wyatt joining us here. He's Jay Wyatt Sports. You can follow him out at Titans Online. He's been covering the Titans since they were an embryo at Vanderbilt, and before that in Memphis and down with the Houston Oilers, and all of this transition for the franchise. Vrabel, to me, seems like such a natural that he's going to be good at this at some point if he does get his 5 years really to do this. And you talk about Whisenhunt, Malarkey, and these lifer football guys. I mean, I've known Wiz for 25 years as well, but Vrabel feels to me to be part of the new guard coming out of the Belichick thing, but being a player. I got to know him a little bit through Ed Block. He was an Ed Block winner here a number of years ago as well. Yeah, he's just a quality dude. He's a guy that you would hire to coach your football team, I think.
He really is. I mean, he arrived with some moxie. You know, he played in several Super Bowls, got 3 Super Bowl rings. He's coached with some really quality guys, dating all the way back to college, and certainly in the NFL. I mean, he played under Bill Cowher and played under Bill Belichick and worked under, Urban Meyer and been around Bill O'Brien. I mean, this guy has a good reputation, from the people he's been around, but his reputation really because of the type of guy he is, and just he's kind of a self-made player. Held guys accountable. I went to the Super Bowl last year when the Patriots were there and talked to all those guys about him. Some of the guys that were still on the team that were teammates of him when he was in New England, and he holds guys accountable. I've never been around a coach like him in Tennessee. I date back, as you mentioned, Nestor, to Jeff Fisher, and there was Mike Munchak in there before Whisenhunt and Malarkey, and Vrabel, he's a perfectionist to some degree. He's a no-nonsense guy to some degree. He stops practice in the middle. If a guy's not doing things right, he'll make a correction in front of the whole team. I don't care if the guy's a veteran or whether he's an undrafted rookie. But he does it because that's kind of the way he played, and he wants things done right. And he he won't put the shoulder pads on, but he'll put the blocking pads on and take guys on in practice, whether it's an offensive lineman or a linebacker. He's been a little bit of a gambler early on. He's gone for a 4th down many times in games, deep in his own territory. Run a fake punt early. He kind of coaches with the swagger, and I think players like the way he handles his business.
He is Jim Wyatt. He's going to be down in Tennessee with all of us this weekend. And before I get back onto the football team and the league itself, give everybody a little Nashville primer because we got a lot of folks coming down. It's my 50th birthday. I can wax on about the tourist side of being there, but life, it looks to me, for someone like you that's been there, because my relationship with Barry Trotz and coming in all those years, and Jimmy Schwartz, and you're shacking up with the cast of the Schwartz out there in the suburbs and whatnot. I got friends that have run golf courses out there, but to me, I don't go anywhere that's changed more than Nashville. I talk about Cleveland being an improved place, and I talked about that over the weekend. Nashville's one of those places just sort of grown up in such a way that you almost don't recognize it if you haven't been there in 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, and it's a special place to me because I grew up here. I was born in Nashville, went to high school in Nashville. My parents still live in Nashville. I'm one of 5, and so it's I've seen all the changes, and it's amazing what this city has turned into, and from getting the Titans and the Predators to seeing the growth downtown. The restaurants are incredible. Just the areas in the city that have grown, and you wouldn't recognize them if even 10 years ago. Some of the area, whether it's the Gulch, which is not too far from downtown, East Nashville, the Germantown area. I mean, there are places that you mention them, 10 years ago, and people either weren't familiar with them, or the reason they're familiar with them is because it's an area you wanted to avoid, and now you look at them, and they're brand new buildings, brand new restaurants, people are living there. it's amazing what this city has become. The downtown area has so much energy at night. You know, I don't care if it's a Tuesday, Wednesday night, or a Friday, Saturday night. I mean, there's so much going on. The honky tonks and about every country music star has a restaurant, music venue downtown now. It's just a fun place to go. And my wife and I and family will go downtown. I mean, a lot of people say, well, don't go downtown. It's so congested. It's wild down there. I love going down there because I love the energy in the city. I love to see people have a good time. And,
isn't it something really proud when your city does something like, you know, becomes that to some degree? And for you being a sports lover and a sports writer, to have these two teams drop in, you know, while you're in the prime of your life and your career. Same for me with the Ravens. I can't imagine this city if Cleveland would have, you know, built them a stadium out there and we never got a team here or never got in on expansion. I can't imagine what our town would be like without it. And then I see what sports can do for a community, and I've seen what the Predators have done to Nashville from the very beginning. When Poyle and Trotz wound up down there, you know, I was going to those games when there were 8,000 people down there and people didn't know what Nash or Fang Fingers or any of that stuff was. And quite frankly, downtown on a Tuesday night was not like a place you wanted to be in Nashville at the turn of the century, I would say.
Yeah, so it has completely changed. A lot of it is the sports angle. A lot of it is the country music aspect of it, that country music has grown so much and has brought people to this city. But it's a remarkable place, and I base a lot of, you know, obviously I see it every day, but when I have friends of mine that come here from other NFL cities, obviously we've both been doing this for a long time. We have certain cities that we love to go to and look forward to going to more than others.
Like San Diego. Oh, we don't get to go there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Love San Diego, love New Orleans, and, you know, there's a lot of places you love to go to, but people are always telling me how much they love to come to Nashville and what a good time they have in Nashville. And believe me, I see a lot of my buddies coming in that press box on a Sunday morning after a long night in Nashville on a Saturday night, and it makes me smile because I know they've had a big time.
Oh, well, hey, man, we got a late kickoff on Sunday, and it's my 50th birthday. The red in my eyes will not be Titans red. Jim Wyatt joins us, Jay Wyatt Sports and Titans Online. Back onto the field. You know, in your heart of hearts for the football team, you know, where's this going to land? What has to go right this year, this week, for the Titans to be successful? And, you know, to pick it up in a division that, quite frankly, is kind of sitting there, right? I mean, you know, if you're giving me $1 to bet on a team right now, I'd probably bet it on you.
Yeah, but, you know, certainly the division's getting better, and you know, the Texans start off 0-3. Now they've won 2 in a row. Jacksonville, even though the Titans beat them, they're not going away. I mean, they got a good defense that's built to win, and that's why games like, you know, the one in Buffalo frustrate you so much, because you know it's going to come down to the end, and you're going to need some tiebreakers. Just like the Ravens, I'm sure, are going to be looking at that Browns game and thinking, you know, hope that doesn't come back to haunt us.
Yeah, we should have tied there. You know, the tie feels like a loss until you actually lose.
Yeah. So it's a tough stretch, you know, coming up for the Titans with this Ravens game, and then I mentioned the London trip, and there's a Monday night game in Dallas on the horizon. The Patriots are coming here soon, so this team's capable of winning this division, but they're going to need the receiving core to kind of grow up and be consistent on a regular basis. They're going to need a tight ends. They're going to have to have more production there. The run game's got to get better. That's been a weakness for this team. They missed 14 tackles against the Bills. You know, they're going to need to settle in and play a more consistent brand of football if they're going to be hanging around in December for a chance to win this division.
I think the one thing we see with them every week, they're in a dogfight. Every week it's a 2-minute warning and nobody knows who's going to win, right?
Yeah, I mean, the 3 games before this one were all 3-point wins. You know, that's against Jacksonville, it's against Houston. You know, that's against the Eagles, and then you lose a game on a last-second field goal against Buffalo. The game in Week 1 was crazy. It was the 7-hour game against the Dolphins that had a couple of long delays. That wasn't even like a real game, but all the ones since are nail-biters, and that's the way it is in the league, and you got to figure out a way to make those plays at the end, and the Titans didn't do that against the Bills. They dropped a touchdown pass, and then they couldn't get a stop at the end.
Jim Wyatt is our guest. All of our WNST coverage brought to you by our friends at Royal Farms. Real fresh, real fast. Make sure you're downloading the ROFO app or using the rewards card when Coffee's $1 right now. Justin Tucker's dressing up in a chicken suit and singing about coffee. At some point before the season's over, I will do the same. Real fresh, real fast. It's all Royal Farms. Also, our friends at Sporticulture, they can get any flowers shipped in this weekend, so it doesn't smell as good in here. I got to find Court this week and get him to ship me some Aller flowers for next week, even though we play the Saints next week. I don't know. Do they come in like those colors? Maybe if I get a fleur-de-lis in here. Sporticulture, that's Sport Eye Culture. They're local, but they send those NFL licensed flowers anywhere with a click at sporticulture.com. Also, our friends at Strategic Factory, making your marketing better. If you have a company out there, you need hats, you need shirts, you need printing materials, cool signs, cool stuff. It's what they do. I'll be telling you and showing you more about Strategic Factory. You can learn more at strategicfactory.com. Also, shout out to our friends at Buffalo Wild Wings up in Bel Air, where Nick Boyle joined us last week. We swapped for the Bone Marrow Registry and promoted the Show Your Soft Side campaign and our love of animals, a mutual love of animals. Nick Boyle will be on the field this week. And if you're up in Bel Air, make sure you stop in and seeing our friends Joe and everybody up there at Buffalo Wild Wings in Bel Air in the festival. Tell them we said hello. The wings were delicious there, and they always have one of those specialty menus and about 1 billion different beers you can pick from. Buffalo Wild Wings in Bel Air. Go see him. Jim Wyatt's our guest. He's down in Nashville, Tennessee. We've talked country music. We've talked about the Titans. Let's talk about the league a little bit and where your division is. As I said, up for grabs. I mean, our division right now looks like 4 relatively evenly matched teams. No outstanding team, although I will tip my cap to Cincinnati, especially for what they did late in the game last week. Where do you see the rest of your division, Jim?
Well, I think Jacksonville's going to be built to fight to the end just because of what they do on defense. Obviously, Bortles has been up and down, and that's kind of continued throughout his career. And if as long as he continues to be that way, they're going to lose some games. Titans have one up on them already for a win in Jacksonville. They've got to come here late in the year again. Titans have kind of had their number, swept them last year, even when Jacksonville won the division. So I think they're going to be one of the teams standing at the end in this fight. And Houston, I think, is talented enough where they're going to be a contender. The Colts, obviously, now 1-4. I think they're still. I think they're building for the future and hoping to obviously surround Andrew Luck with some guys that are going to keep him from having to do it all. But I think it's a 3-team race right now between the Titans, the Texans, and the Jags. And again, it's the Titans have got a good chance to be around at the end, but they have to play better. I mean, because the game against Buffalo was alarming for a lot of people just because it. You felt like this team had picked up a lot of momentum going 3-1 in the first quarter. And then Buffalo, I have to say, was probably the easiest game on this next stretch. And you lose that one. So this game against Baltimore is huge. Leading up to a pretty tough stretch of schedule is going to determine whether this team's still going to be a contender at the end.
Yeah, I've been pointing out all week, this is our 3rd game in a row on the road. Vegas got a hold of that stat. No one ever likes that stat. 3rd game in a row on the road. So the Ravens coming off both of these teams coming off a really choppy effort on Sunday. Be interesting to see how they bounce back. Jimmy, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Hopefully not too bleary-eyed. But next time I see you, I'll be 50 years old on Sunday. So bring some cake and some candles. Let them know down there, all right?
Will do, yeah. You'll enjoy 50. I hit that just a short time ago myself. So I dreaded it, and then I got there, and it's not so bad. So enjoy 50, and I'll see you in Nissan Stadium on Sunday.
Just make sure I have like an Elvis candle or something on there while I'm in Tennessee, all right? I'm in the South. Good seeing you. Breakfast at Waffle House for all my friends in the Deep South. Jim Wyatt, J. Wyatt Sports, the pride of Nashville, Tennessee, and the biggest Dodger fan I know. You can find him at J. Wyatt Sports on Twitter as well as at Titans Online. Nobody does it better. He's more of an insider and a historian of all things Titans, including those slobber knockers back at the turn of the century with Eddie George and Ray Lewis. You can find me out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Our morning newspaper ships digitally to your email inbox each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. That's $5 down, $10 a month. Move it inside as the weather probably is going to force you to do at some point here. Planet Fitness has you covered to keep you in great shape all winter long. long. Also brought to you by our friends down in Laurel. They're racing down there this weekend and every weekend, but next weekend's the Maryland Million. That's on the 20th. Want to make sure I highlight that for you. Great crab cakes down there and a beautiful sports book. And stop down there and see how they're doing it at Laurel right now, because the baseball games will be on, the racetracks will be on. Saturday afternoon, we'll have a little college football in the corner. It's a beautiful vibe to spend the day down at Laurel. So go do that on the 20th and treat yourself at the Maryland Million. Last but never least, our breaking news services, all brought to you by Coons Ford, Security Boulevard. It comes on your text whenever it happens. As long as it doesn't happen in the middle of the night, then we do it in the morning. But Luke's on that is our WNST tech service, all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Of course, Dennis Colazzos will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5. It is the SSV on WNST. I'm a very available individual. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.